What if I told you that a 2,500-year-old text contains strategies that could help you win not just wars, but life's biggest challenges? It might sound unbelievable, but the lessons from this ancient book are still being used today by military generals, business leaders, and even pro athletes. This book is The Art of War, written by Sun Tzu, an ancient Chinese general and strategist. The Art of War isn't just a military manual. It's a guide on strategy that applies to all forms of competition. From corporate boardrooms to sports arenas, people are using its timeless wisdom to outthink their opponents, make smarter decisions, and come out on top. But who was Sun Tzu? He was a Chinese general and philosopher from over 2,500 years ago who understood that winning wasn't just about brute force. It was about using strategy, intelligence, and adaptability. His insights shaped warfare for centuries, and today, The Art of War is still considered one of the most influential books on strategy ever written. Whether you're leading a business, competing in sports, or facing personal challenges, Sun Tzu's wisdom remains incredibly relevant. The timelessness of Sun Tzu's strategies. Why do we still read The Art of War 2,500 years after it was written? What makes it so enduring? The reason is simple. Sun Tzu's strategies are timeless because they focus on principles that apply to any kind of conflict, not just battles. Whether it's a military operation, a business takeover, or even a sports competition, the core ideas remain relevant. Take modern CEOs and business leaders as an example. Elon Musk, the visionary behind companies like Tesla and SpaceX, is known for using long-term strategic thinking to outmaneuver competitors. This mirrors Sun Tzu's focus on planning and adaptability. Musk isn't just reacting to market changes, he's predicting them, much like a general preparing for war by knowing the enemy and the battlefield. In the military world, U.S. General Norman Schwarzkopf applied Sun Tzu's principles during the Gulf War. He used deception and overwhelming force to outwit Iraqi forces, a tactic straight from the art of war. Schwarzkopf knew that winning wasn't just about having the strongest army, it was about understanding the enemy's weaknesses and exploiting them at the right moment. So, can ancient wisdom really solve modern problems? Stick with us, because what you'll learn next might just change how you approach your own challenges. Key principles that shaped military strategy. The element of surprise. Sun Tzu's principle of deception is one of the core ideas in The Art of War. He famously wrote, "All warfare is based on deception." The idea is simple. Mislead your opponent to gain an advantage. By masking your true intentions, you can control the battlefield. A striking example of this in history is Germany's Blitzkrieg strategy during World War II. The Germans used speed, surprise, and misleading movements to overwhelm their enemies before they could respond. More recently, guerrilla warfare tactics, used in conflicts like the Vietnam War, also relied heavily on deception. Small, flexible forces misled much larger armies, proving that the element of surprise can shift the course of a war. But could something as simple as deception truly change the outcome of a battle? History says yes. Know your enemy and know yourself. Another essential principle in the art of war is understanding both your strengths and your enemy's weaknesses. Sun Tzu believed that if you know yourself and your enemy well, victory is guaranteed. One of the most famous examples of this strategy in action is the Battle of Cannae during the Second Punic War. Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, knew the Roman army's aggressive tendencies and used that knowledge to trap them in a double envelopment, resulting in one of Rome's worst defeats. Similarly, during the U.S. Revolutionary War, George Washington used the British Army's rigid and formal combat style against them by employing unconventional tactics suited to the American landscape. Knowing your enemy and yourself isn't just about brute force, it's about winning the psychological and strategic game before the battle even begins. Flexibility and adaptation. Sun Tzu also taught that flexibility is the key to survival. The general who can adapt to a changing situation is the one who will prevail. Sticking to a rigid plan often leads to disaster because no battlefield, whether literal or figurative, remains static. This was evident in the Vietnam War. While the U.S. military had superior firepower, their rigid conventional strategies didn't work well against the adaptable and elusive guerrilla tactics of the Viet Cong. On the other hand, successful military operations, such as those during the Gulf War, showed how flexible strategies allowed commanders to adjust rapidly to shifting conditions and outmaneuver the enemy. In the end, Sun Tzu's teachings on flexibility remind us that those who can adapt are the ones who succeed in any conflict. If you want to learn how flexibility can give you an edge in life, whether in business, personal challenges, or any competition, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more strategic insights from Sun Tzu's timeless wisdom. How Sun Tzu's strategies influence modern warfare, the Gulf War and Sun Tzu's influence. During the Gulf War in the early 1990s, U.S. military strategists drew heavily from Sun Tzu's teachings to outmaneuver the Iraqi forces. One of the key principles they employed was psychological warfare. By creating the illusion of overwhelming force and using precision airstrikes, the U.S. forces demoralized the Iraqi army before ground troops even moved in. This careful planning and deception were straight out of the art of war. Sun Tzu taught that victory comes when the enemy is defeated mentally before the battle has even begun. And that's exactly what happened in the Gulf War. The swift and decisive nature of the campaign demonstrated how military precision, strategic deception, and outthinking the enemy remain as relevant today as they were 2,500 years ago. Cyber warfare. Today, war isn't just fought on battlefields with guns and tanks. It's fought in the digital realm as well. In fact, cyber warfare is now one of the most critical fronts in modern conflict, and Sun Tzu's strategies are proving just as effective here. State-sponsored cyber attacks and hacking operations use the same principles of stealth, deception, and surprise that Sun Tzu advocated. For example, in cyber attacks, hackers often disguise their intent, mislead defenders, and strike where vulnerabilities are least expected. This mirrors Sun Tzu's advice to attack where the enemy is weakest and least prepared. Whether it's infiltrating networks, stealing sensitive data, or launching disruptive attacks, the art of deception remains a powerful tool in cyberspace. In this modern age, cyber warfare is becoming a battleground where victory is determined by who can deceive and outsmart the other, just as Sun Tzu predicted centuries ago. The art of war in business and sports, business and leadership. In the business world, the art of war has become a go-to guide for CEOs and leaders looking for a competitive edge. One clear example is Amazon's rise to dominance in e-commerce. Just like Sun Tzu's principle of outmaneuvering the enemy, Amazon has continually disrupted the market by strategically outpacing its competitors, often before they can react. The company uses data to understand the weaknesses of its rivals and adapts quickly to customer needs, just as Sun Tzu advised generals to know both themselves and their enemies. Moreover, deception plays a key role. Companies often withhold new product releases or mislead competitors about their strategies. Apple, for instance, has been known to keep its competitors guessing, creating a sense of mystery and surprise, a tactic straight from Sun Tzu's playbook. Sports strategy. The strategies of the art of war are not limited to boardrooms. They also apply on the playing field. In sports, coaches and athletes use these principles to outsmart opponents. Take the NFL, for example. Coaches often design plays that trick the opposing team into thinking the ball is going one way when it's actually going another. This form of deception directly aligns with Sun Tzu's advice to confuse and mislead the enemy. In boxing, fighters often use the strategy of feigning weakness to lure their opponents into a false sense of security, only to strike when they least expect it. This mirrors Sun Tzu's idea of appearing weak when you are strong and striking at the right moment. Could mastering the art of war give you an edge in your own life? Could the same principles that work in business and sports help you succeed in your personal challenges? Stick around to find out. Conclusion and call to action. Closing statement. Sun Tzu's strategies go far beyond the battlefield. They're about winning in every part of life. Whether it's in your career, your personal goals, or handling tough situations, his principles of surprise, adaptation, and knowing your strengths can help you achieve success. As you walk away today, think about how you can apply these timeless lessons to your own challenges. If you found these insights valuable, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more lessons from history that continue to shape our world today. And we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. How will you apply Sun Tzu's teachings in your life?